Good day. A quick look at the Grant Williams incident in Saturday's test match between South Africa and Argentina and what has transpired since. In a dramatic collision, Springbok scrumhalf Grant Williams, who was starting his first test, was knocked out cold by an opponent attempting to charge down his kick. But first, my thoughts on the game itself. It was a disjointed and sloppy performance by the Springboks. They were far from convincing and have lots to improve upon if they want to retain the World Cup crown. I think the incident rattled the Springboks and robbed Williams of his first start for the Springboks, something we've all been looking forward to in anticipation. It was not the nicest game, but we needed to grind it out with a yellow card in the last 10 minutes, said Nienaber, referring to the 37th minute sin binning of centre Damian de Allende. Our kicking game was definitely not as good as it could have been. Argentina handled the game between the two 10-metre lines very well. They wait for you to make mistakes. South Africa spent most of the second half defending after leading 59 at halftime, and Nienaber hailed the Springboks for preventing the Pumas scoring a try until the 75th minute. Being put under pressure like this will probably happen in the World Cup. I was incredibly proud of the outstanding attitude in defence, said the coach. I think the World Cup is going to be incredibly close, and you can easily become shell-shocked when the opposition has all the momentum. Let's now have a look at the Williams incident and how it played out.
In the number 10 shirt. And a charge down early on. Grant Williams has stayed down here as well. It's his first start in Test rugby.
Well, the medics have to come on straight away.
And
okay.
Looks as though he might have been knocked out cold.
I've got it, really. Thanks, mate. Yeah, take that time. So the penalty holding on.
So much said about Grant Williams in the build-up to this Test match. Wearing the number 9 jersey for the first time.
I'm saying that's completely unavoidable.
The chase there was from Juan Cruz Mallia, and the crowd has seen that on the big screen.
Committed to make the charge on.
And questioning Dwayne Vermeulen there whether an attempt was made to charge down the ball. Trots on in jersey 21. Well,
he actually plays the ball, Dwayne. He actually plays the ball on the charge down, so it's completely unavoidable for us. There's no foul play. No foul play for us.
Let's now have a look at two similar incidents that led to players being red carded. First, a late charge of CJ Stunner on Pat Lambie that ended his rugby career, followed by Caleb Clarke in the Blues match versus Moana Pacifica.
Stretched in the middle of the pitch. Yeah, he's committed in the air. He does collide with him. He's trying to block the ball. I don't think he's jumping into the air and he hits him. Whether it's deemed deliberate, it's definitely a penalty. I think what he's got to worry about is it a yellow card.
You're right. Number 6. Are we not judging it on what happened?
Omar Havits, CJ Stander, playing in his homeland, playing in his home.
Blues trying to put a big shove in, but it's a lovely pass away from Nienaber to Alosil. Oh no, that's a terrible looking collision. 2 players down. And Tomasi Alosil, this is not going to look good. Oh, he was collected him in the air. Caleb Clarke has been sent off.
For me, all 3 of these incidents were very similar and deserve sanction. Referee Andy Brace, with decision of the TMO, however, ruled on Saturday that because Argentinian fullback Cruz Mallia actually charged the ball down, it was not foul play. He called it a rugby incident and took no action. Law 911 is however very clear. Players must not do anything that is reckless or dangerous to others, including leading with the elbow or forearm or jumping into or over a tackler. Let's listen to what the Supersport Final Whistle team of Nick Schumi and Swayze felt about the incident.
It was interesting. Swayze did a good job. He looked up the law, and I imagine he might have spoken to referees. They say that the person charging the ball down has to take into account the safety of the kicker. Now, that fullback did not take into account the safety of Grant Williams. Grant Williams kicked the ball. He did manage to charge it down, not with his arms, with his thigh, but his jump was such that he hit Grant Williams' head very similarly to CJ Sanders. So if you see the 15 going here, he just goes flat out and leaps. He's not taking. No one can claim that he for one moment had the safety of the kicker in the back of his mind. And that is against the laws. So why that wasn't referred to by the TMO or to the TMO, it was head contact. It was with great speed and ferocity. And I'm not sure where the mitigating circumstances were. So for not to have a yellow card there and possibly a red card really confused me on the field.
Yeah, that's the thing, Shim. When we look at it, we're just looking for consistency.
Yeah.
So also for the ref to say, I've got support around me. Guys, let's have a look at it quickly. Am I making the correct decision? I mean, for something like this, there's a TJ standard comparison. We're trying to get away from head injuries. You know, in a URC game, chances would have been red, no chat. Super Rugby would be something totally different. What we saw in the test match, different. Yeah. How do we get that middle ground?
Look, they've introduced this bunker system maybe to try get that, but you know, you talk about Super Rugby, that Antonina Brown tackle in the first, that was a red card.
Yeah.
You know, that's why he got suspended. He's back now. That was even, there's guys that didn't look at that. So I think trying to get the consistency at all levels of rugby or different hemispheres, I think it's almost impossible. And the fact that they didn't look at this one, for me, the concerning thing is the hip turn for me is the big giveaway.
Yeah.
That if you think of player safety, you're going to charge down and then turn your hip into someone. If he misses that ball, that's an automatic red card. So that's the big issue. The fact that he turned his hip and went there. If he had gone there and said, listen here, maybe missed the charge down and landed on him and said, listen here.
Just hands against him.
Yeah, hands against him. Maybe it's fine. Maybe you look at a yellow, maybe nothing. But the fact that he turned his hip, like that, I mean, from 2 or 3 meters out.
For me, the fact that he turned his hip means he had no realistic chance of charging it down.
Exactly.
Because you're going to charge down, you'll be open. As soon as you turn, it means you've missed it.
Yeah.
Very good point.
And I know what the referee said, and I think the TMO, they said because he did manage to charge it down, he couldn't change his direction. He was already committed. But you can't be committed if you're going to injure the person you land on. And that's what he did. You can't charge a ball down in the way that if you continue your jump, you're going to hit that guy as he kicks the ball, just after he's kicked the ball. You're not taking his safety into account. And I think that Andrew Brace, I think he got that wrong, and I think the TMO got it wrong. I think that was, if that happened in a World Cup, I'd be very, very surprised if there wasn't, you know, a big hoo-ha about that.
How do we fix it, Swayze? How do we fix it?
We in forums like these got to keep pushing it. Refs, I'm very interested to hear what World Rugby is going to say about this. Their statement, I couldn't find it today. I couldn't find a response. Guys, the IR said they're still waiting for the response there, but Law 911 clears this whole thing.
That's reckless. That's reckless.
Is it dangerous or reckless? Yes. It is not. It's not debatable. Those players must not do anything that is reckless or dangerous to others, including leading with the elbow or forearm or jumping or over a tackler. So he knows when he went there, he did long jump. He went for a miracle kind of thing that was reckless and dangerous. It's not, guys, I'm sorry to say it, but if you just look at the law, I'm not saying the law is right. That we can debate. But what I'm saying is, if you apply the law, that was definitely a red. And now we don't want red cards, Owen. We said it earlier.
Yeah, sure.
But that's another debate.
No, but player safety, you need a change in behavior. I mean, there's a guy knocked out cold there.
Yeah.
Been stretched. How do you sell the game by doing that? Yeah.
Let's just be logical. I come in and I clean Shimmy out, and I do that and clean him out slowly, but I take him out. That's a neck roll, and you'll probably get a yellow card for that. Now that knocked Williams out, and he's going to be out of rugby for 3 weeks. It is that sort of action that World Rugby is trying to take out of the game, because that'll chase parents away from having their kids playing. You know, a hook, a scrum half ducks under a lock, and he gets a glancing blow on the head. You can feel sorry for the lock, but I can't feel sorry for that fullback, the Argentine fullback who jumped into Williams. It was very, very dangerous what he did, and there has been a precedent. We've seen what happened to Pat Lambie after the CJ stunt. His career was over. He had headaches and would be vomiting in the morning for a year and a half afterwards.
I think, if anything, a penalty maybe, just to make sure that we penalise those head collisions. And what came out, I mean, I was sitting right next to where the referee bench was, and I said, the reason for that, not going upstairs, and the guys were on the side of the pit, turned around and said, well, it's deemed as a rugby collision. Fair enough, but let's just make sure we keep our games.
Strangely, Referee Bryce did not immediately see the seriousness of the situation, which is another worrying factor in this incident. He allowed play to continue until Argentina received a breakdown penalty. Only at this point Bryce looked at the incident on the big screen, but not fit to penalise Mallia. I put a timer on from when Williams received a knock until the referee Bryce called the medics, and the whole 10 to 12 seconds went by. During this period he did not stop play immediately to ensure the safety of the player, but rather allowed the ruck to ensue and still had enough time to apply his mind and make the decision to penalise the Springboks. Let's have a look at the incident again, this time with a timer.
In the number 10 shirt. And a charge down early on. Grant Williams has stayed down here as well. It's his first start in Test rugby.
Well, the medics have to come in straight away there.
And
okay.
Looks as though he might have been knocked out cold.
I've got it, Willie. Thanks, man. Yeah, take that time.
One can also ask why the assistant referee did not call the referee's attention to the incident and Grant Williams lying out cold on the Ellis Park turf. Williams later appeared on the touchline bench with the South African replacements to the applause from the Ellis Park Stadium crowd. Following the match, coach Nienaber had the following to say about his condition.
Yeah, in terms of Grant Williams, definitely, like on the field, it was a full-on concussion, so it's not even going for HIA. I mean, he was out cold, so he will probably be, I don't want to put, medically they would give more guidance, but it's probably going to be out for I think for 2 weeks at least, depending on his symptoms.
In the aftermath to the game, the SANZAAR commissioner decided to cite Mallia for the incident. In a statement, SANZAAR said the case is to be considered by the Foul Play Review Committee on Tuesday, 1 August, via video conference. In conclusion, I think World Rugby needs to do more to ensure consistency by referees in the application of the rules. My fear is that inconsistency is going to spoil the Rugby World Cup showpiece, namely the Rugby World Cup 2023, to take place in France later this year. Cheers.